A very, very warm, cloudy, breezy, sticky, hot, well, day here at Le Mans. We're going to go racing, and we're going to go racing live around the planet. Welcome to Eurosport World, Eurosport Asia, Eurosport International, Eurosport British, everybody else as well. You're very, very welcome. My name's Carlton Kirby. I've got Mark Cole alongside me and Liz Halliday just to get you rolling. Then we'll be joined later by Jeremy Short, Simon Hill, Neville Hay, Chris Parsons. We have a huge team for you, and we are all so excited to be bringing this amazing event, the 76th running of this phenomenal event, Le Mans, the 24 hours, live on Eurosport. Well, the crowds are in, the cars are ready, we're about to go racing. If qualifying was anything to go by, you're going to have 24 hours of thrills. Well, we have a special surprise as well today here on this grid. We're going to get a ceremonial start from the International Space Station, would you believe? That and plenty more besides before we finally get rolling.
Pedro, the car was really fast for qualification, but the race is long. Are you still confident?
Yes, I mean, I know that the car was very fast in qualify, but this morning Audi showed that they had a very good pace on the race speed, so they didn't qualify actually. We qualify, so the race will be tough and there will be a big, I think, a bit competition during the race, the first hours. Hopefully we can go ahead a bit. We will see. We'll see the first laps are going to be.
During the first steps, you're going to push really hard to get a little bit of time ahead, or?
I'll try, but last year we thought we could go away as well, and actually Audi they passed us and they went away. This year the car is much better. Stefan did a great job, Frank and Nicola. So in qualify, so for the race is a question mark. We will see, but seems that the car is fast, and we'll try to do our best to keep going and try to bring the car until the end.
Thank you, Pedro. Good luck.
Thank you.
Pedro Alami there, the man on pole, and what a position he is in. Word is, Mark, that the Peugeots may well have run in this morning's warm-up with a qualifying setup as far as the little chip is concerned, the master control unit. The big questions are, however, just how long they can go out there. It's going to be a question of fuel economy if Audi are going to have any chance out there, Mark.
Yes, Audi have really got the strategies sorted out here, haven't they, at Le Mans? They can do it year after year, even though they might be slightly slower. They've got the strategy. As you said quite rightly, Carlton, yes, Peugeot running in with their qualifying electronics. Audi not. Audi running in race trim, and Alan McNish in the warm-up this morning is quicker than any of the Audis were in qualifying.
This was the Drivers' Parade. It's a huge festival, almost like the Notting Hill Carnival out there. And, well, Olivier Panis and the rest of them enjoying life. Let's just hope that chair stays on board when it goes racing. I don't think it's the real one.
And, of course, this year, for the first time, trams in Le Mans. They opened in October, and it's brought a whole new dimension to the city, connecting the city centre with the circuit. Remember that if you're not here this year. Come next year.
Well, the dignitaries came, the dignitaries have gone, but this was them.
Prime Minister of France, François Fillon, himself a Le Mans racer, and the Dutch Prime Minister. I cannot believe they're still talking, because Holland beat them 4-1 last night in the football.
I know. Well, it'll be interesting to see as well how the Spikers go here. They've got a big performance curve to try and get the better of. They say, Peter Dumbreck was telling us, that they have taken a step forward, but so have everybody else, and it's going to be a difficult job for them to move up the GT standings.
Well, we're just waiting to speak to 7 times Le Mans winner Tom Christensen. He wants to win this race with his friends Alan McNish and Dindo Capello this year. Are they going to be able to do it?
Well, what a team they've got. Tom is a superstar, and he has that automatic on-off smile which he seems to be able to create even when he's in something of a bad mood. He's ready to talk to us now. What a name to have early on before we go racing. Tom Christensen then, here on Eurosport. Here he comes.
The Peugeot are really, really fast. What is your really strategy? Are you going to wait or push really hard?
No, we are obviously we have to try to stay as close as possible. It means we know that they have the faster car. We know we can rely very much on our car from the last 2 years. It's the same car, it will finish, and we can race it very hard. We have to be disciplined though, certainly in traffic. Maybe we have to take a little bit higher risk, but we have to make sure that it's always is okay. Put so much pressure on them as we can, and obviously they have a fantastic car, but we will try to stress them as much mentally as possible. Good pit stop, we know we have very good boys there, so there's no secret. Very fast and consistent as we can go.
Are you gonna work all 3 cars together against Peugeot, or is it still a fight inside the team?
No, we are a team. We are united, but of course, at the moment we will go as fast as possible, but we will not disturb each other in that sense. If a car is faster from the back, they will get clear to go for sure. But at the moment, it's we are only looking forward, all of us, and that is what gives the most honest motivation for any team. It is clear for everyone.
Thanks, Tom. Good luck.
Enjoy.
Thanks.
Well, no about Tom really intending to push hard right from the off, but wonder just how hard though. Longevity is what it's all about, fuel economy, and the nerves starting to fray amongst everyone, although I have to say Tom looked incredibly cool. He's got a lot behind him, however, a lot in front of him. 24 hours live here on Eurosport. Welcome back. You're live at Le Mans. We have Stefan Sarrazin waiting to have a brief word. He did such a tremendous job when it came to qualification. The man who went sub 3 minutes 20, and by a goodly margin as well. Nobody could catch him. Sarrazin on board the 8 car for Team Peugeot Total. And, well, the boys that start themselves on pole. First 3 positions will be occupied by Peugeots. As far as the GTs are concerned, it is Corvette all the way by the looks of things, at least early on. Aston Martin, they say they've not been sandbagging, they've just been concentrating on finding race trim, so watch out for them to start leaping up the timing boards a little later on. All cars on their position on the grid. It's a fine sunny day, but there is cloud around as well. It's been hot and humid, it's got a little bit breezy now, so we've just about had all weather we could possibly hope for. I think we may well get some rain. It's that time when drivers just start to try and focus on the job at hand and keep the likes of us away, but we managed to wheedle our way in there and have a brief chat. Let's see if we can catch up with Sarrazin now.
Stefan, you are really quick this year, the year before always, but that's a big deal to start in pole.
Yeah, sure, it's very good. I'm just very lucky. I did the pole last year. It was the first year with the car, and I did the second time this year, much faster. The team did a great job. We improved a lot the car, so we're quite confident for the race. Compared to Audi, we was very quick, and we tried to prove it during the race.
There is a lot of Peugeot fan here, a lot of people. Is it a up pressure for you, or is it okay?
Yeah, it's a bit pressure, but it's good. Like that, we give the maximum of the car, and we try to push at maximum all the time. And we're in France, so to be a driver for a French manufacturer is just amazing. It's a dream, so I'm just happy.
Thank you, and good luck.
Well, alongside us we have also Liz Halliday as part of our team. Liz, you know what it's like to be out there. You also know what it's like to do the starting stint.
Yes, I mean, this is a really exciting time for everybody that's on the grid, and starting Le Mans, I mean, it is the biggest sports car race in the entire world. I mean, there's nothing better than being given the honor of starting the race at Le Mans. I've been lucky enough to start twice, and you know, it's a really stressful time because 24 hours of racing, I mean, you struggle to even get it down into your head, really.
Well, qualifying also saw that there was a problem with Matmut. There, incidentally, was the International Space Station. They're going to be giving us a ceremonial wave-off here. They're 440 kilometers high above Le Mans as we speak, and we've got astronauts down here as well.
Yeah, but there's a very good reason for all this, because 100 years ago, the first ever flight on European soil took place here on the Hunaudier Strait, the Mulsanne Strait. That was by Léon Boulay. And so today, French astronaut Jean-Luc Chrétien, American astronaut Mark Brown, and Russian cosmonaut Vladimir Titov will give the start. They'll wave the French flag up in the sky, push a button, and the same thing will happen down here.
See, this is really exciting. This is something a bit, it's not even just about the racing at Le Mans this time around, it's about the rest of the history. And you know, this is what we talk about at Le Mans being such a big deal. It's the history of Le Mans. And I think this is what, you know, the drivers will experience as well, as, you know, the first time anybody sets out onto the Mulsanne straight for the first time. I think it's almost like you absorb the history of Le Mans, and it's exciting to have, you know, this extra bit in there as well.
Well, we're looking at a team that really are kind of out of the box, I suppose, save for the drivers who are excellent. They've all come from Toyota. The Dome doesn't have a sponsor just yet, but you know where their mind lies, Mark. You can see where they're thinking.
Oh, yes, indeed, yes. And I think Toyota will be looking very, very carefully at what goes on here this weekend. Also looking very carefully at what others are doing in GT. Jaguar, a lot of people from Jaguar here. Big rumours they are looking at returning officially to international motor racing.
See, this would be very exciting to have Jaguar back in the mix of things, because it's sort of lately, you know, we've got very few different GT cars out there. It's sort of just Porsche and Ferrari, and then it's wonderful to have the Spikers here as well, but it would be great to just have a bit more of a mix-up in GT again, and, you know, back in the old days when the Jaguar was so strong.
There's going to be an awful lot of changes. Will this be the last year that we see these Audis? Well, maybe it depends on results right now, today. Back in a moment. Welcome back live to Le Mans. Just looking at Nicolas Minassian. We've got Capello about to speak to us as well in just a few moments' time. Some news coming in. The IMSA Performance Matmus, the car leading the GT2 class, it's on pole, has been sent to the back for a procedural irregularity. We think they were too late coming out, which is an absolute nightmare for them.
Well, this really isn't that big of a disaster. I mean, it seems that way, and obviously, you know, being on pole, you want to be there, but, you know, it won't be that much of a disaster for a team like this in 24 hours.
We'll wait and see. Let's go downstairs for a chat.
Dindo, last year you missed the first place, so I'm sure this year you're going to be fighting really hard.
Yeah, for sure. What's happened last year, it still hurts Alan, Tom, and myself, because last year we did a perfect Le Mans, perfect pace, perfect pit stop, was a great teamwork, and at the end, just a few hours to the end, everybody remember what's happened. This year we should try to repeat the same kind of race, but for sure Peugeot is very, very fast, but I'm sure, we are sure, if we can repeat the 2007 race, probably to Sunday at 3 o'clock, the results can be very good for Audi again.
Thank you, Dindo, and good luck.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Ciao.
Well, good luck to them as well. Alan McNish, Dino Capello and Tom Christensen. It was a heartbreaker. If you can't remember, the wheel came off their challenge. It was hardly a challenge. They were leading. They were looking like they were going to bring it in, and then it just all fell apart for them, which was, as far as they're concerned, Alan McNish in particular was absolutely gutted, Mark.
Yep, absolutely. 5-minute board's gone up then. 55 cars on the grid, and Pedro Lamy here on pole position. He's driving the car Sarrazin put on pole. Frank Montagny alongside him, and as you just heard from Carlton, on the back row of the grid, the IMSA Matmut Performance Porsche, the leading Porsche in qualifying. Pat Long sent to the back of the grid, and so too has the Tokai University YJ Key LMP2 car. Hiroki Kurosawa, they're starting from the back too. They had to change gearbox, which is not allowed in the rules. You can change engines, but not gearboxes between qualifying and the race.
Yeah, but really in a 24-hour race, this is not going to be a huge drama. Like I said earlier, you know, it's disappointing, but 24 hours of racing is a long way. And, you know, I've had teams that have won a 12-hour race starting from the back of the grid, and let alone 24 hours. So, you know, it's a setback, but I don't think this is going to be a huge disaster for either team.
You're listening to Eurosport Live throughout the world. Eurosport World, Eurosport Asia also joining us. It's an absolute pleasure to have your company. My name's Carlton Kirby. We have Liz Halliday and Mark Cole also in the booth to start us off. It's a huge team. It's a huge event. And look at this track, Mark. Would you like to talk us through it?
Yeah, absolutely. So here we are looking at the hill up to the Dunlop curves, and this is where Noda rolled the other night, and then down the hill down to La Chapelle. And Liz, just talk us through the section from La Chapelle to Tertre Rouge. You've done it at racing speed.
Yeah, through the S's, that's going to be flat out in a prototype. Very, very quick corner. Down to the next portion of the S's, which is the left-hander, and into Tertre Rouge, which of course was new from last year. So, you know, that's gotten much, much, much quicker, almost fifth gear in some turns, and then on to Mulsanne straight. Now, the Mulsanne straight seems like it goes on forever, but obviously back in the old days, it used to truly go on forever and ever and ever. And now we have the 2 chicanes. So on to Mulsanne straight, carry on that, and then you've got your first chicane, which is the first real test of the brakes on this track. So it's going to be hard on the brakes, into the first chicane, down to 3rd gear for most cars actually, and then a pop down to 2nd.
Yeah, then well, we'll catch up on the rest of the lap as we see the cars going round in a minute. But Carlton, just all the last-minute preparations now. Teams really still working on strategy. Engineers on computers in the back of the garages. They've got 24 hours of this to do. It's a killer.
And look at the forecast. Cloud. And that's a grey cloud. Grey underbelly, at least. We expect there will be some rain, but a track temperature of 20-odd Celsius. That's warm out there. So even if it does rain, it's not likely to hang around for long. We're expecting showers at some point. There is a breeze just getting up. That's a welcome one for just about everybody, but it's a very, very nervy time, this. It's just a question of bedding the strategy down. It's all gone, basically. There's nothing more that can be done. It's a question of just trying to get calm and just relax into the moment.
So, to the spectators, 256,000 last year. The ACO is confidently expecting that to be exceeded this year because of this battle, the battle of the Titans, Audi and Peugeot, and Audi defending their crown. But Liz, my money's on Peugeot.
Well, yeah, you know, Peugeot's had a year now. They've done Le Mans already. They've experienced it. They've had the little problems. They've had time to bed this car in and really get all the things sorted out that will give them the power to win a 24-hour race. So, you know, definitely they're going to be fast, but Audi's done this a lot. You know, they have very reliable cars, so I think it's going to be a proper fight to the end.
You just saw the space station hovering 440 kilometers above us right now. They're going to be giving us a ceremonial get-go. They won't, of course, be starting the race proper, but they'll be waving a French flag just to say off you pop. 1 minute to go then, so we'll join the astronauts up above, and then we'll be racing down here on planet Earth. They'll be helping it spin just a little bit faster as these tires grip on and dump down the massive torque as they fire it up, and just about ready, Mark, to start rolling.
Yeah, I mean, that 1 minute is so significant. Most of these crews have been here for 10 days. They were here for the test day last Sunday. It's all come down to this point right now.
Listen to that sound. This is the 76th running of Le Mans. You're live over the world and in space here on Eurosport. The astronauts are about to give us the flag, and then we'll be sending ourselves round. There's the official green for go, and they're going to have a look at this track, and it's going to be your first chance to see it on race day, race weekend indeed, all 24-hour, of course, live here on Eurosport. Liz Halliday, what's going through the drivers' minds, their hands, their feet right now?
Well, this is an incredible time at Le Mans. I mean, to do the start, you're seeing all the spectators. It's really coming down to reality in your own head. 24 hours ahead of you of the biggest race in the world, potentially. So really, it's just about keeping it cool. I mean, the start of a 24-hour race, you've got to be cool. You can't be trying to win the race on the first corner.
First Dunlop curves cause so much trouble early on. You can get it wrong even there, don't forget. It's a hugely long race. Do not bin it in the first minute.
Well, right now they're going to be warming up tires, warming up brakes. You know, this is where some of the cars might get a bit loose. You know, you fire it off the line, your tires aren't warm yet, you know, everything's just bedding in a bit. So, you know, it's got to be about being smart, getting things ready for the whole 24 hours.
So, trouble already for the 97 car. Haven't quite got the get-go. And we're going to be going upstairs, the International Space Station. They'll be talking Russian, and we'll be doing our level best to have a word with them. Our translators are standing by. Here we are. Well, there you are. You can read it for yourself.
We are honored to take part in the start of Le Mans 2008 from the International Space Station. This unique race brings together the spirit of pioneers and explorers that we all have as cosmonauts and astronauts. A good race to all. International Space Station, Expedition 17, Commander Sergei Volkov and Flight Engineer Oleg Kononenko.
Thank you, fellas. Was that fantastic or what?
That was extremely cool, I have to say. How many races get started from a space station? Let's be honest.
Wow.
So there you are,
Not that many. So
astronauts down on Earth as well, and they will be our official starters today.
François Fillon, the French Prime Minister, up there with the tricolor, and they will wave that flag for the cars as they come by. Liz, you started us off on the lap. This is the first chicane, PlayStation chicane, then down to the second one, Michelin.
Yes, we see the cars coming into the first chicane, then you head down to the second chicane. Bit of a shorter straight than you had before, but still very fast and quite long in comparison to most tracks. You head on down to that, equally very hard braking again, but a much quicker sort of squirt out of the exit of it, because then you run down to Molzon Corner, which is the first real, it's the next real test of sort of the car and the brakes and everything. So the Molzon Corner is very, very, very tight corner. So that's going to be their next one. Down to first gear for a lot of cars, but probably in the race, many will hold back on that.
Liz, the Mulsanne kink was always a feared feature of Le Mans, but they skim the top off it. Is it that much easier now?
Yeah, I mean, I think, that's helped obviously, but the actual corner itself is quite technical. I mean, the prototypes will be turning into it flat and then hitting the brakes very, very hard, and it's quite a polished surface for obvious reasons from years of racing. So, that's something to keep in mind, and it also narrows a lot. So if you've got traffic there, you've really got to be using your head as to where you take them, overtake them.
And not just years of racing, of course. This is a normal road.
It's a road.
Rest of the
yeah,
year.
Exactly. So we've got that to deal with as well, which is what makes Le Mans so special as well. I think a lot of people think is that you've got some real road to deal with. So even just crossing over bits, or just crossing over the centre there, as you see, that's quite a test for the cars.
And this is the kink we were just seeing. Yeah.
So they're back at Audi and back at Peugeot as well. It's nothing that they can really do about it right now. It's just a question of keeping fingers crossed and hoping that all the strategies have actually sorted themselves out. Incidentally, in the warm-up today, we're hearing from the drivers themselves, although we're not going to tell you which one because we were sworn to secrecy, that Peugeot were out there just running a little different mapping to Audi. They were still on qualification mapping in the warm-up. We think that was out to be a heartbreaker, and their warm-up times were impressive. No Audi was even quicker in qualifying, and I think they were just trying to rub Audi's nose in it, to be honest. They will have changed that engine mapping because it's going to be about consumption and just how much more efficient, fuel efficient are the Audis. That could well be a secret.
Well, yeah, of course it will be, let's be honest. They're not going to share that with everybody, are they?
I meant the secret to success.
Yeah. But,
Liz, fastest point of the circuit, we're just seeing down to Indianapolis. The Peugeot's 215 miles an hour there on Wednesday night.
Wow, that's a spectacular speed, and it's such a fast corner and a brilliant corner to drive because it's got a bit of camber to it as well. And I can only imagine what an awesome experience it must be to go through there in a car as quick as the Peugeot's. But then obviously very hard on the brakes there after that into Indianapolis, and very, very slippery there as well. We've seen a lot of accidents there late in the race as the debris comes up and as oil comes up on the surface. So especially in a car that quick, they're going to need to be careful about that.
This is an enormous circuit, over 13 kilometers, and when you imagine doing that in just 3 minutes and 18 seconds, it gives you some kind of perspective as to the speeds that they've got. Huge crowd, massive party, and they are about to party seriously now and get their usual motorsport fix at this time of year.
Yeah, well, I think most of these fans have been partying for almost a week, to be honest. It's a big special experience in Le Mans every year, an excuse to get out there in the sunshine and enjoy some motorsport. Yeah, the banking is always a favourite place all around the circuit. Barbecues are just been put out behind. They've probably emptied their beer cans upon them as we speak. They are coming round then for the first run by, and this is always a pleasure. And well, a pleasure. It's the roar as well as the engines apart from anything else that just makes the hair on the back of your neck stand up.
This is the run-up from Arnage to Porsche Curves, and Porsche Curves claiming 2 Peugeots over the last 6 days. Huge accident for Marc Genet last Sunday, and then of course Ricardo Zonta on Thursday night. So two Peugeots down already. One of them had to be completely rebuilt. How did they do that, Liz? You're not officially supposed to change tubs.
Well, yes, but I mean, I think a team like Peugeot is very well prepared, aren't they? They're ready for any instance. So, they've been in there, they must have a few out back, surely.
Oh, very diplomatic.
The Dutch have been setting off orange fire bombs, smoke bombs, I should say. I'm not really quite sure what I think about that. We've had clouds of the stuff drifting by us here. Doesn't really help too much, but they are in party mood, the Dutch, having won at the football. What can they do here? The Spikers, well, they're going to have trouble. level. We'll see about the rest.
Now, Liz, as we go into the last part of Porsche curves, there's been some big changes here, haven't they? It's grass here, but as you go into the final part, a lot of runoff area.
Yeah, they have changed that now. There's a lot of asphalt runoff, which I think is a great idea. I mean, it's just enhancing the safety of the circuit and giving people just a little bit more breathing room. But just the same, I mean, the Porsche curves are still a really daunting part of this circuit. They're very, very fast, makes up for a lot of time lost or gained in the car. But also, you know, it can end your race if you go off there. It's very, very quick. So, you know, people are still going to have to respect it.
So then, this is the moment. The lead car's slowing down. They're just waiting for the safety car, the pace car to leave us here, and then we will be underway. Everyone getting into position for a nice clean start. They'll approve this start and then wave them away, and it'll be the first look across the start-finish straight. Huge crowds. There'll be the usual glitter of the cameras as they come by. Peugeots 1, 2 and 3, and the roar is about to happen as we start this, the 76th running of the Le Mans 24 Hours, live here across the planet on Eurosport. Away we go then. This is the big moment, and the roar by, the crowd are up, everyone's up, and Peugeot immediately just throwing it down. It's formation time for them, and away they go up towards the Dunlop curves. It's a long, long race to come, and already a chance from Alain Minish. He's having a look all over the back. Can he move up a position early on here? That would be tremendous. He's really trying his hardest to get by the 7 car, and he's just going to make it into the double bridge. Absolutely superb by Minish. What a driver, coming into second place. So Minish then moving up there. Great job there, Liz. Just got inside that Peugeot and couldn't do anything about it.
I think McNish came out here and he said, this is what this race is going to be about, boys. I'm not going to kick back and let you just crawl away from us. So he just thought, I'm going to stick it in there straight away and show them that Audi is here to win.
We are here to win. Say the 4 rings. Forget about anything else. They're going to challenge here. And when it comes to the balance between fuel and longevity on their runs, they could well have it. Just wait and see when the Peugeots come in. What sort of trim have they managed to put on these cars? It's race trim, they say, and already McNish has just been eaten up. He was proving a point in front of the crowd, so that was a point well made, Mark.
He has tucked back inside, but he just, as you say, showed his nose to Marc Genet. Genet couldn't do anything about it at that point of the circuit, but it takes it back at the chicanes. So much more torque they have than the Audis down here now. That's one thing we're learning over this week.
Well, what a day, what a start, what a race, and it's there's an awful long way to go, naturally enough, we know that, but Audis have just bedded back into position. That was such a gutsy move early on. I just lost myself.
Well, this is the thing about Alain Minish, you know, every time he gets on a track, he's out there to have a crack. It doesn't matter when it is, he's an amazing driver, so much skill and talent, and he wants to win this race. He's waited to win this race for years, 10 years now. So, you know, this is I think he feels this is his one. They were due it last year, that horrible incident with the wheel coming off, and he's out to win this year, and I think he wants to show that to everybody, including the crowd, straight away off the bat.
Yeah, but look who's still in 6th place, Stefan Mucker there in the Aston Martin powered Charouz Lola. What a great job they've done, out qualifying Frank Biela, and they're holding that position. That is a big surprise. I'd expected to see the Audis just go blasting past, but no, Stefan is in control of that 6th place.
Yeah, it's quite an exciting thing for them to come out here, you know, this new combination of the Lola and the engine, and also the coupe. I mean, I think we're seeing how fast these really are going to be. You know, the aerodynamics are much better, and, you know, they're really showing a lot of pace.
I was talking to Peter Ellery of Embassy, and he said they may have to go down the coupe route because they're just watching what everyone else is doing. He said they are faster.
Exactly. I mean, which is not really a big shock if you think about it. I mean, obviously, having a person's head mixed with a few other things is not going to be as aerodynamically viable as having the specially shaped scoop nose and straight over the top. So it makes a lot of sense, but I don't think anyone expected there to be that much of a speed difference.
Well, what a start. Lights ablaze and lights flashing as well. They're trying their best to thread the needle here, and it's a very, very narrow track on occasion, Liz. And when you've got the approach speeds that they're also got, it kind of compresses everything. If you meet a car from a lower class in those very, very tight areas, it can make for disaster, can't it?
It can, and I mean, you really need to use your head in these situations, and especially as it starts to get a bit darker as well. It's very hard to tell what you're coming up on sometimes when you're in the thick of it. And also, you know, some of these prototypes will be a bit slower than people would expect them to be.
4 seconds is the gap already. already they're putting over the rest of the field. Lamy, Montagnier and Genet. Then it's Alan McNish. Then it's Lucas Luhr. Then it's Stefan Mucker. And then Frank Bieler. And Daisuke Ito. He's there in 8th place in the Dome. What a great start for them.
Stunning start for Ito and the Dome. And, well, we're in our first minute of the 24 hours. The first 3 minutes, I should say. 3 minutes 26 by Pedro Lamy. That is tremendous. And the astronauts give us the wave by. And what a beautiful view in that run up to Dunlop here, where Alan McNish made that very brave move. Phenomenal. Well, this a replay of the start, and well, this will be entertaining, you can be sure of that. It's certainly just shocked us right at the beginning. This was the run by, we thought, yes, nice and formation style from the Peugeots. All three of them in that aileron, the wing as they came up to the top. Alan McNish wasn't having any of it. He said this formation stuff means absolutely nothing, and he decided to spoil the party. There he is with the yellow wing on board that number 2 Audi, and he closed them down, stalked his man, and just went by. It was tremendous stuff. What a start to this race, and already we have the timing screens just telling their own story. Great story it is as well, as you said, Mark, for that Aston Martin powered car, but it's actually started just to upset the party that's being enjoyed only, it seems, by the diesel car.
And let's just look further down the standings. Peter van Merkstein, he has started apparently the Porsche, the car that he actually owns, although we were told it was going to be Jos Verstappen starting. There may be some problems there, but Magnussen in the Corvette, the 63 Corvette, is leading GT1, and Alex Davidson in the Porsche, the 77 Porsche. Of course, that wasn't the pole car. The pole car sent to the back of the grid. That's the Team Felbermayr Proton.
Yeah, well, that car was sent to the back of the grid, but if we look at here, he's already up to 7th in class, just after, what, 2 laps? So this is, really quite impressive. But Patrick Long, an incredible driver, been with Porsche for years. Not going to surprise me at all if he moves up another few places in just another lap or 2.
Jeroen Bleekemolen just confirmed now as the driver of that Van Merkstein car. We're quite sure that's what has happened, and they're just getting all their timing sorted out here this afternoon. But again, a country mile lead already for the Peugeots. 3.9 seconds now over the Audis, Carlton.
Yeah, absolutely. Audi, they're going to run their own race here. They're racing the track, don't forget, apart from racing their nemesis, which happens to be the Peugeot Lion. The Peugeots are bound to look more comfortable here. They've proven in qualification and, of course, all season long in the Le Mans series as well, that they've got something very, very special in terms of their package. They did, however, also, let's not forget, do 36 hours. They did a sort of mock 36-hour race and actually came through it. It's very, very different when you've got opposition out there as well to contend with. Let's not forget that. But they've proven that the car has now built itself the longevity that they've been craving for so long. And it might well just be that Mark's prediction that it will be a Peugeot win this year comes true. Certainly for the time being, it looks like they're all on their own here, and it will do for the first couple of laps.
End of lap 2 then, still a Peugeot 1-2-3 formation, and we're going to see it like this at the end of the 24 hours. And look, Alan McNish being dropped now, but by the same token, he's pulling ahead of Lucas Luhr, and Stefan Mucker has started to pull away from Frank Bieler. That's very interesting. What we're not seeing though, Liz, GT2, fabulous battle, less than a second, covering Davidson, Rob Bell in the Ferrari, and Jörg Bergmeister.
Yeah, these are all top drivers, and they're all going to be pushing hard. This is the thing you see in GT1 and GT2, is, there's not so much of a time drop off in the race. They really push hard the entire way. A bit more reliable cars and really strong drivers. So they're going to be pushing hard right at the front all the way through the race.
Just looking a little bit further down the classes as well, there's some great battles to be had, don't forget. Corvettes, they didn't have things all their own way. Celine came through in qualification and started second in that class, GT1. And just looking further through the standings here, the Lola Aston Martin has dropped out of the top 6. So clearly the talk that you were talking about, Mark, has paid off early on for the diesel. So I just wonder what an impact the petrol cars will make. It's surely going to need mistakes from the diesel cars ahead of the petrol cars involved in LMP1 if they are going to make any kind of impression on the top 5.
Well, surely, we're looking at fuel economy here, aren't we? This is going to be the biggest thing that's going to be an issue for them. But, at the same time, we've seen petrol cars, on the podium each year. I know there's more diesels this year, but it's all going to come down to reliability and, efficient pit stops and, how often they can just keep it going around in the same time, one after another. If they have no problems in pit stops and everything's clean, then you never know. We might see a petrol car still on the podium.
I think essentially what you were saying about fuel as well and just how much is being burnt. We were talking about the the mapping that Peugeot had adopted in qualifying and the fact that Audi, well, were kind of trying to say that they had race mapping there, but clearly now it's come to the race, there is still a huge performance difference between them. But when are the Peugeots going to pit, and how much longer can the Audis stay out there?
Yeah, I think it's all going to come down to the first pit stops. It's going to be very interesting to see the difference between when Peugeot comes in and when the Audis come in. So I think we'll know a lot more about sort of where this race is going to pan out throughout the night and tomorrow.
Pedro Lama's lead is under threat. Frank Montagne's just done the first and second best sectors of the race so far. He's closing down on Lamy. Manassian's being dropped very slightly. He's now second behind Montagne. And as you said, those petrol cars, Muka and Ito respectively in the Charouz Aston Martin and in the Dome, they're dominating petrol at the moment, 7th and 8th. But remember, neither of those cars have ever done a 24-hour race, and indeed the Dome has never done any race.
Yes, absolutely. There's other cars out there as well, which we'll get onto in a moment, that have plenty of rookies on board and rookie teams as well to boot. Nothing rookie about these boys though, however, and well, it's going to be a fascinating one, you have to say. And what's also going to be fascinating is if they have a huge cushion. If they have a huge cushion, they may start racing themselves, and that's a danger point for the team.
Well, if you look at it already, they're already racing themselves,
absolutely.
to be honest. And come on, these are racing drivers. They're very experienced racing drivers. They're here to race. It's very hard to tame down the racing driver in them, you know, that much. And they've got to have a go, really, don't they? And I think they're very aware of what they're doing. These cars aren't going as fast as they actually can, as we all know. So, you know, we'll just have to wait and see what happens.
The 5 car, a Yari on board the Courage Orica in the Matmut team colours, based on the Piet Mondrian colours. Famous painter from Holland, just chasing down the Pescarola of Bouillon. The Dome is in front of them and has dropped them by a decent margin as well, a couple of seconds ahead, and they're going round here in 3.5 minutes. That's the speed that the ASO are trying to limit the main cars to, the main prototypes. It's being achieved by the petrol cars, but 8 seconds quicker the Peugeots are running at the moment, the lead 2. And
the interesting thing is the 2 front-running petrol LMP1 cars are both coupes, so this is showing some of their speed difference, I think, from the open cockpit cars.
Yeah, the coupe seems to be the way to go, and a little unstable coming into that one. The number 16 car, that's the one that had its nose remodified during qualifying, got into a load of oil, unfortunately. They've been dropped by the 59 Modena Aston Martin, and they did a great rebuild job. But whenever you do rebuild a car at the front, and not least the Mazda, which we'll come on to a little later on, the car has to be refound, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. It's always that sort of nerve-wracking time when you go back out on the track with a rebuilt car and you're sort of thinking to yourself, well, is the handling going to be the same? Is there going to be any other issues that will come up from that? But I mean, a team like Pescarolo, you know, very, very experienced. They've been in this sort of situation before, so I'm willing to bet they've got that pretty much 100% nailed back to where they want it to be.
Well, Matmut starting to eat up the Pescarolo liveried machine, and the wonderful colour, that blue that's been so familiarly associated for such a long time, the Matra blue. I just hope we never stop seeing it, Mark.
Yeah, Henri Pescarolo adopted this green as his favourite colour when he had his helmet like that in Formula 3, went to Matra, took it with him, won Le Mans in those colours in 72, 73 and 74, kept it for his own team. But what we're looking at here is the battle of the French garagistes. They're both Le Mans based, Pescarolo and Yves Courage. Both teams significantly have been bought by bigger concerns this year. The one by Orica, the other by Jacques Nicolet and his Monaco TV company. So they've both been given much more financial strength, these teams. And unfortunately, though, at the end of the day, they're only fighting each other. They cannot take on the diesels.
There is a sub-battle, the petrols and the diesels. The best petrol car will have a little medal, a quiet one, all of their own. Not an officially recognised one, of course. It's all in the LMP1 class. Incidentally, LMP2, the lead car, Blickemöller on board, one of the Porsche RS Spiders. They're running in 15th place. Interesting one for you guys. The Epsilon Euskadi, the car that got the very, very late entry, is leading its team car there. Got a very, very late call did the 21 car, and they stood up to the mark, and Mark Gounon sat in the seats. So did Stefan Johansson and Shinji Nakano. It's a fantastic team, considering their reserves.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, Jean-Marc, very, very experienced driver, so he's going to be pushing that car hard. I know they had a lot of issues with it when they first brought it out. Obviously, the car is brand new, and you know, they'd had an aero package put on it for Le Mans that they'd never used before. And he went out and he said the car was moving around on the straight. It was all over the place, and they had to take everything apart and play around with it and change springs and all sorts. And he says he feels like now they've got a car pretty well dialed in. It's a quick car, but it's a big question because it is brand new, and this is 24 hours.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's also trickled down to all their preparation. You can't always rely on everything going right. And the number 20 car this morning blew its Judd V10 to pieces, and that's a very, very, very rare Judd failure. They had to change an engine.
That was the point just there where the number 9 Peugeot went off. Anything can happen, and what's going to fascinate me is who's going to be first to pit. Not just talking about the lead cars, but everybody out there. Who's got troubles? Well, we're about to find out. And don't forget the message boards. We'll be going over to those in a wee while just to have a chat with you as well. You're live at Le Mans here on Eurosport. Warm welcome back here to Le Mans. The clouds have come, the breeze is still with us. There's just a hint that there might be a little bit of a shower out there. The racing has just kept us warm and entertained. It's tremendous stuff, not only out front but also through the field, and we're staying with this little battle that's raging on here. Great outfit, and look at this, Peugeot already into traffic, Mark. It's not taking them long.
They're lapping cars already. Pedro Lamy, fastest man on the circuit. He's actually put a gap of a second at the start of this lap over Frank Montani, and Pedro has just done the fastest lap of the race, a 3:22.449. He's still out the front in the lead there. The gap's 1.5 now, and 2.9 back to Nick Nassin, so they're beginning to open that up. How long are they going to go on fuel then?
It's a big question, Mark. Lucas Luhr is really pushing as well. They're just about to cross the start-finish line. Peugeots really are well ahead here. It's taken only 4 laps into the 5th lap now for them to actually find the back of the field, get into the GT cars. A frightening prospect as well for those boys who have the lights of the Peugeots blazing away, and you'll start to see the speed differentials when they just go by some of these vehicles, and it must be heartbreaking for the drivers in the GT2 class. By the way, thank you so much to those of you who have come in on the forums. We'll be having a chat with you later on. Thanks initially to Airbus A346, Hopknot Monster, Cadpig, Rich VMS, and the rest of you. If you'd like to join them and have a chat, get on to eurosport.yahoo.co.uk. You will be able to click on the message boards, go to Motorsports, go to Le Mans, and you'll find the thread which is Race Weekend Live, and we'll be having a chat with you a little bit later on when things have calmed down. But for now, thanks for your company so far.
Yeah, and also thanks to dailysportscar.com, all the information we get from them, and they'll be doing it all throughout the race. Just have a look at that website. You can register on it if you're not already there. Paul Truswell from Daily Sports Car, he's given us some sort of indication of the fuel, Carlton. He's suggested to us that given conservative conditions, 13 laps on a full tank. Well, now that was assuming 3:32. These cars running at 3:22. So I think we're going to be looking at maybe 12 laps on a tank full of fuel for these diesel cars.
Yeah, it's very possible actually. I mean, they're moving at these kind of paces. It's going to burn off more fuel, so it's going to be really interesting to see, because, you know, a diesel car, you'd think it would go forever, but really we're going to have to wait and see when they come in, because 12 laps is very short. It's not very long, is it?
So that's what, 45 minutes at the most?
If that.
Yeah.
What is interesting is when we transition between day and night, already in the deep shadow of the forest, you can start to see that there is already smearing. There's been a lot of insects have come up over the last few days, and cars really are getting spattered with them. And when you go through the woods, that's where the mosquitoes kind of hang up, and you can see it there. And when that sun gets a little bit lower and it starts to just flare on the screen, it does get oh so difficult.
It is very difficult, and it's difficult for the drivers in the open cockpit cars as well, because you're getting that on your visor. And, you know, as you go into, you know, the people that are doing dusk are going to really struggle because you can't go out there with a shaded visor. You've got the sun in your face, but because you're going into the dark, you've got to just accept that. And a lot of people will put tape over their visors to, you know, sort of block the sun a bit. And the people with the windscreens are going to be struggling with the glare, you know, like you said, against debris from the track, oil perhaps on the windscreen, you know, insects, all sorts. It gets very tricky.
But one thing at the moment we may not have is a sunset here, of course. It's been very cloudy this afternoon. The wind has moved round from the east to the west overnight, and it's bringing a lot more cloud in from the Atlantic. And I just wonder, is that going to bring some rain as well? But
it's definitely freshening up, isn't it? It feels fresher. The flags have gone horizontal on the grandstands. You won't see it now, but watch this for an approach here. Another roar by. It's Frank Montagnier on board the number 9 car, currently in second place, and has been dropped just a little bit by Pedro Lamy.
Dropped a whole bunch on that lap. I think he got caught up in traffic. He's now 3.7 seconds back from Pedro.
So through they come again, just trying to keep it sensible early on, although their pace is tremendous. 3:22.449 was the last time by Pedro Lamy. Best Audi, well, best Audi is in the hands of McNish. He's the only Audi so far to go sub 3:26. It's half a second quicker than that. Lucas Luhr has just posted his best time so far.
Well, soon we'll see these cars starting to come up on the GT2 cars. All the traffic is going to start to become an issue, and this is when it all gets a bit more mixed up, and we see what makes this sports car racing is the 4 different classes of racing, huge speed differential, especially now the pace of the Peugeots mixed with the Porsches and the Ferraris and the Spikers. It's going to be just a tremendous difference for traffic.
Incidentally, it's Corvette 1 and 2. Honours resumed then as the Celine has just taken a little bit of a tumble down the standings. It's now in 5th place as the Aston Martins do exactly what they said, and they've stepped up to the mark, and they are matching the Corvettes on pace here, Mark.
Yeah, they have. I think the Celine's probably had its best so far. Maybe they started a little bit light on fuel for some glory, but it's Jan Magnussen and the man from Yardley Hastings, Oliver Gavin. He's in second place. Good job, Ollie. Then Brabham and Wendling are behind them in the 2 factory Astons. Those Gulf colours, a huge amount of debate going on at the moment. Most people saying we think it's too pale, the blue on the Gulf.
Yeah, the blue's not right. It's not gluey enough, I think is the expression. Cox is in the Lamborghini. He's in 6th place, and then we get into the Corvettes run by Luc Alphond, and we're just having a look at Peugeot Sport here. It's a calm place, a happy place for now. That surely will change, at least at some part, throughout these 24 hours.
Serge Saunier, the race chief of Peugeot, sitting on the pit wall there. He'll stay there for the whole of the 24 hours. I don't know how he does that. Probably uses a bottle, but anyway, Serge also, of course, you'll see his name on the number 4 LMP1 car, because he had a prototype team which he sold. There are the standings. Corvette, Ollie Gavin in that second car for Brit fans, and for Brit fans, David Brabham, the honorary Brit who lives in Australia and lives in Wimbledon.
Well, if Brabs does start racing, it'll be against Vendiger for the time being for honours. I think it was the 9 car that actually won it for Aston last time. So it's 007 James Bond in 4th place at the moment, with 009, his not nemesis but his partner, ahead at the moment in 3rd place. The only car with 3 numbers aboard, got special dispensation to do that. Makes them more distinctive, I suppose, as if they could be any less so with that wonderful Gulf livery. But we're looking at the Corvettes 1 and 2, 63 car in the lead, ahead of Ollie Gavin in the 64 for now.
Just while we're talking about Gulf, 40th anniversary this year of Gulf's first win here at Le Mans. That was in 1968. Pedro Rodriguez in the Gulf GT40. He was carrying number 9 when he got that win. So Aston Martin deliberately chose 009 to see if they can carry that through.
They're teasing us. I thought we were going to stay on and have a look at that livery, and you could make your decision about how dark or light the blue is. 33 cars come in. They had a bit of a bumpy warm-up as well. They had a bit of a bump earlier on in qualification too. They've come in early just to settle things down, and it's not that they're going to get themselves out of traffic. There's traffic all round this track right now. Quick wheel change. It's no change of driver, and I believe we might be having a chat to somebody, Mark, but not quite sure who just yet.
Das ist das 10. Mal, dass Audi hier am Start
Well, it's with Audi, and they say it's the 10th time that we've been starting here. And the question is, what do you think of the race so far? It's Dr. Wolfgang Ulrich, and he's saying, of course, this year there's so much that we want to win. Our ambition isn't diminished at all, he says. It's one of the most difficult races to actually master here. So focus is the main thing. We have to maintain constant fast driving out there, and we'll see what happens. So what about setup in qualifying is the question from Gernot. So did you have race setup when it came to qualification? It looked like that to us. Yes, he says. It's evident that there was a difference between ourselves and the Peugeots in qualifying. Peugeot were always going to go ahead and lead in the early part of this afternoon. But after 3 or 4 pit stops, the picture is going to become an awful lot clearer, and that gap surely will close. Audi believe, will their dreams come true?
Big problems. Big problems for Pedro Lamy. Frank Montagny has managed to get right onto his tail. Pedro has been held up terribly by GT traffic, and Montagny's right with him now. Here we go as they go down through the corner there. Look, the two Peugeots, the first and second, are now running together. Lamy lost 3 seconds on that lap.
Yeah, this is the problem we're going to start to see now, is as people come up on the back markers, you know, these drivers are going to be trying to be smart. This is 24 hours to go. They're not going to take any major risks, as best as they can avoid anyway. So sometimes you're going to have to give up a few seconds per lap just to make sure that you can safely pass the back markers.
And look at this. That's the performance difference between an LMP1 and a GT1 car. Great approach speeds, and once they get into an area where it's safe to pass, they will just scream away. Wonderful onboard pictures, by the way. They've laid a loop around the entire track to keep the microwave pictures coming back at us. So very little breakup this year, and you can see just how wonderful these pictures are. And deep into the night, most of the pictures will be on board as the camera positions close down for a little kit.
Jeroen Bleekemolen in the LMP2 leader there, the Van Merkstein Porsche, and he's now got Casper Elgaard in the Essex Racing Porsche right on his tail. Casper had fallen back a bit, but he's come back up through the field. So great battle between the Porsche Spiders.
And of course this year, the first year that the Porsche Spiders have come to Le Mans, so a huge showing for them, straight out in front, like a lot of people expected they would, to be totally honest. These cars are monstrously fast, so this is very impressive for them, straight out at Le Mans, right in the front, you know, pushing up against the back of the LMP1 cars.
They've been embarrassing the LMP1s as well in the series, both in the LMS and over here. They would just love to repeat the feat when it comes to Le Mans itself.
Well, the huge success, of course, Sebring this year, where Penske Porsche won the race outright. I mean, how strong is that?
Peugeot was there too.
Yeah. Liz, you've won at Sebring. You won there 2 years ago with Intersport. You know how difficult it is to beat the big cars there, but
I mean, it's a huge feat, and especially Sebring itself is such a punishing track. I mean, it just hammers the cars and hammers the drivers. It's hard to keep a car going, you know, for 12 hours around that track. A lot of people say the cars get as much of a beating as they would in 24 hours just in the 12 hours of Sebring. So that was a real feat for them early in the year, I think, and now they're going to push through, and I'm sure Porsche would love to win in another class at Le Mans now.
Famously, of course, Peugeot went there trying to test out their machine, pitch it against the very best at Sebring, and came a cropper. Oh, and that is such a shame. The 25 car is already looking just a little bit second-hand. It's the MG Lover AER Turbo on board, and Tommy Erdos it is that's going to be limping back here, Mark, and that's a shame because we got a look of a beautiful car early on, and it was contact that did it. Oh, it was contact that did it, and it looked like it might have been one of the Audis as well. If that is one of the Audis, and they're deemed to be at fault. It was the red one, the number 1 car, I think, that just helped it into the barriers here, Mark. Well, we'll get more on that in a moment.
I think it's further back. We haven't yet had the Peugeots lapping the LMP2 runners yet.
I think this may have been just another
wait and see. But bad for Tommy. Now this car, we hadn't realised until this morning, this car was backed into the barriers on Wednesday night. They had a big repair job. There's Phil Barker, the Ray Mallock team manager, and look, he's not at all happy, is he?
Shoulders go down. He knows that he's got some awful lot more work to do right now, and we're only half half an hour through just about into these 24 hours.
It did look as if Tommy maybe just didn't see that car in his mirrors, that the car was right alongside him as he was coming into, I believe, the chicane, the first chicane. And I think it's very difficult when you've got a car in your blind spot there. And I think it looked like Tommy was just moving across to take his line and just didn't see him at all. That's what it looked like to me.
Well,
very easy to do.
Peugeot are preparing themselves for the first pit stop. That's going to be an interesting
We're
one.
only 9 laps in.
Yeah.
This is coming very soon. I mean, we're only a half an hour into the race.
So
this is very early.
Start that lap count now and see how longer Audi can actually stay out, because really that's the difference between them.
Absolutely.
It's going to be, isn't it? By the end of this one.
And if there is a huge difference in that way, it means Peugeot is going to have to push very, very hard for the whole race to make up for that time with pace.
Exactly. The harder you push, the more fuel you drink.
Absolutely. The harder you push, the more risk you take of not lasting for 24 hours.
What we don't know is how much fuel the Peugeot started with. 81-litre tanks. Did they run brim full, or did they just want to go out front for the glory of France? To start with, remember, Liz, they're performing in front of their Prime Minister.
Well, this is true, yeah, absolutely. It's a very good point, but I mean, I would have thought, you know, in the interest of winning the 24 hours, they would have started on a full tank. That would have been my thought, but you know, you never know. There's politics that we don't know about.
We just saw the LMP2s, the Porsche RS Spiders, locked together in positions 16 and 17. They are having their own little battle. They're starting to get into what they would describe as traffic as well, but I think that's rather ambitious. Just having a look further down the order as well, and if we look in GT2, which we haven't mentioned much here, Porsche are still in the lead. Bergmeister has it. Jaime Mello now has taken that second spot for Ferrari. So a battle royal. It's Porsche, Ferrari, Porsche, Ferrari, Porsche, Ferrari. Does that sound familiar?
It does indeed. You can't see it at the moment, but looking down the pit lane, the number 12 Cruz Schiller car's come in. The Peugeot has just come in behind it, and we're just seeing which Peugeot it is. So look further back behind that. The one that stopped is the Lamy car. Our race leader, number 8, is in the pits.
Wow, race leader already coming in. Just make a mental note, lap 9.
And this does look like a routine stop.
Yeah.
So very, very quick, very, very short time to be in the car before a pit stop, really. I mean, most of these cars you'll see go at least 45 minutes before they'll come in.
They report perhaps he's had a puncture warning, a deflation warning? It could be they've had to bring him in for a non-routine.
I think you were right first time out, Mark. I think they went for glory, and now they've come in.
It looks very calm, that pit stop. There was no major drama involved, as far as we could see. So.
That is the Cruz Schiller Mazda. This is the car that was rolled into a ball by Hideki Noda the other night. It's back out, and how good is that? They've done 9 laps now since that car appeared to have been totally destroyed.
Total rebuild it was. The thread you're looking for, if you want to get on the internet and the message board, is Race Weekend Live. We'll be taking a break, having a look at a few of your comments. Any questions you have for Liz would be gratefully accepted. And we'll be back live here at Le Mans in just a few moments' time. Peugeot's dominant so far. Audi's already in with Frank Bieler. More on that in a moment. Welcome back. The second of the Peugeots already coming in. One of the Audis has also been in, and we've got a few other chops and changes. Something to report as well. The Vitaphone Aston Martin in the hands of Harpen, the 53 car, got into one of the Matmut machines. So that's not this car. One of the Matmut cars was out there. I think that's one of the Embassy boys coming in, just getting on its marks. So we've had a little bit of clashing going on out there. Lamborghini has been pushed into the garage. You can only have 4 men working on the car outside. If you push it in, you can get more. They've been trailing, if you like, the leaders of their class by around about 3 seconds per lap. The Corvettes of Magnussen and Gavin are leading that class, and Lamborghini pitting off 7th place there. So the 7 car gets its get-go. Hasn't been long.
Creation is in as well.
Yeah.
Well, I wonder whether Audi were running light as well.
Number 3 car. This is the Lucas Lewis car.
Makes you wonder, Mark, what the strategies are, and just what was that fuel load, as you quite rightly said at the beginning. Both of them perhaps running light, which suggests that they're pitting at the same time. We'll have to wait till the second and third pit stops to find out exactly.
Liz, to what extent are you going to actually stop early at the end of the first and maybe second stints, just to make sure that you've got all your fuel figures right?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of teams will stop just slightly early. Obviously, you're going to calculate as best as you can, especially a team like Peugeot or Audi are going to have it pretty much spot on. But you don't want to take any risks at Le Mans. So it's a long, long way around. And to take a risk with fuel is just not something you want to do. You can run out and it's all going to go downhill. The Celine is in, as is the Dome Judd, has just come into the pits as well. So we've been seeing a lot of cars actually pitting very early.
Team Glady also here. There's a whole raft of them coming in right now, and it's looking extremely busy. And the Lola Mazda has just been let go. I'm just wondering, just a little pause there as he just caught it. Thank goodness he's back underway. And we've got another interview down, I believe, at Lola. Let's have a brief word and see who we've got.
Michel, the first half an hour of the race is going very well.
Well, we had a good start, and as we forecast before, so we have to take care, and that's because at the first time, at the first lap, Nicolas has been overtaken by McNish. But after all the things are good, 1, 2 and 3, we have just make the refueling now, and we continue.
Yeah, you did a quick refueling and really close to the beginning. So how come do you stop that early?
Excuse me, I don't hear.
Why did you stop so early for the refueling?
But I think that we need to refuel, and as you saw, Audi refuel also. So I think in terms of strategy, we will see.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Michel Barge at Peugeot, revealing absolutely nothing there. Why did you stop so early? He said, well, Audi stopped early as well, just completely avoiding the why question.
The Audi press conference yesterday, I stood up and asked the first question, being mugged.
We loved it.
You lost a wheel off the car last year. You had to change discs at Sebring for the first time ever in a long distance race. Why?
Yes, we did.
No, it won't happen again. Thank you. Goodbye. Next question.
I think the avoidance mechanism built into any of these top teams, Peugeot and Audi especially, is incredible. I mean, the ability to slowly just skip past the actual question and say enough to make it valid is fine.
The trouble is it leaves us thinking there's conspiracy theories going on, and Carlton, of course, is the master of the conspiracy theories.
Oh, there's plenty of them. Plenty of them. Talking about mapping to the boys, engine mapping, that was a fascinating one. But for the time being, at least, as we've got a slow car out there.
In comes the lead Audi. McNish stops.
Lead Audi is in, but are this our friends again here, Mark? Have they got more trouble here?
No, this is RML still working their way around, I believe. It's a long way around this track, you have to remember, and moving slowly takes forever.
The big surprise to me is Audi are changing tyres. They're not double stinting their Michelins. This is a circuit that's already kind to tyres, isn't it? Why?
Yes, but don't forget, they've been qualifying. They've had to start the race on their qualifying tyres, so it's very likely that they actually used a soft compound to do their qualifying on, just to try and push the Peugeots as much as they could. And so now they need to be smart. They need to switch to a tyre that can go a bit longer. But this is probably why they've swapped tyres already, is they're on a very soft compound.
Just heading off out is the 32 car. It's had a few scrapes out there, particularly in qualifying. Thankfully, reasonably clean so far, the Barazzi Epsilon. Normally in blue, but it's a tangerine and sort of silver grey out there. And Alan McNish is off and away. I'm in about a lap and a half's time. We'll put a clock on him and just see what the pace is, because it may well be dramatically different. As you quite rightly said, Liz, we suspect qualifying tyres at the beginning so that they could showboat just a little bit and stop that phalanx of three Peugeots just going under the Dunlop Bridge all alone. It wasn't going to happen. He wasn't going to let it happen.
Now, one thing that will be helpful is that it isn't that warm. It's not as warm as we've had at some Le Mans. The circuit's not going to be as hot, so they may be able to have a few more opportunities with tyres than they would have done if the circuit was, 10, 20 degrees hotter.
One of the Matmut cars just getting underway. A little bit of a stagger there, but was it for safety reasons or did he just drop it? Well, he's away now, thank goodness. And finally makes it back. Wow, that was a long time.
That's a long lap, Liz.
You ever have a problem at Le Mans and you sincerely hope that it's very close to the pits, because it is a long way to get round. And especially, this is, not normal for Tommy. Tommy's a very clean driver, very, very experienced, especially at Le Mans. So, I'm surprised to see him have a problem like that. It makes you, he must have just not seen the car next to him.
It doesn't look happy. It's not settled at all, despite the bodywork damage. You'd just like to see the car running true, and it's not.
Liz, we just saw the Alphane Corvette, Luc Guzlard on board. He undertook Tommy in the pit lane. Is that going to be a penalty?
I don't think so, purely because Tommy's moving so slowly. It is possible if he was,
I think he'd already set off as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, but a lot of times you are allowed to pass a car if it's got a problem and it's moving quite slowly.
Both Alfan Corvettes being refettled at the same time. That's not ideal, of course, because you've got to spread your crews over 2 cars.
In fact, they're pushing the 73 back to try and give it some space to get away, and that was not good. Oh, and almost there's a spare wheel just been dropped in front of the 73 car. I think we might get it on a replay for you, I hope so, but that was a mess from Alfond, and Lucio himself will be really upset. That's the way things
do that in ALMS. You're going to get a drive-through, aren't you?
Potentially, yes. Yeah, you definitely
They're not quite as strict on those things here this year, but who knows? Maybe Daniel Posano says it's time.
That sort of thing could have been a huge issue if he'd hit that tyre. I mean, that could have been a big accident for the,
could have bounced just about anywhere. We're looking at the 14 car that's just come in, the all-gold Creation AIM, the car in the hands of Stuart Hall. They've, as a confidence boost, they've sent him back out to start the opening stint, and that's great to see, Mark, because his confidence will perhaps have taken something of a knock. The man who finished 4th last year, he was in a bit of a wreck in qualifying.
Yeah, what we're watching at the moment on the screens is the Dome, the number 11 car, and how impressive that has been. He's running in 9th at the moment, Daisuke Ito on board. Now remember, this car hadn't turned a racing wheel until, some 45 minutes ago, Liz. Straight out the box. I mean, that's so impressive, isn't it?
Very impressive. I mean, right up there, really pushing right at the front of the petrol LMP1 cars. So this is an awesome showing for them. And the question is going to be for them and for anybody watching is, are they going to last? This is a new car, not the way you want to be at Le Mans. You don't want to be in a brand new car at Le Mans.
Well, unkindly described by me head-on as a policeman's helmet on casters, but it is really, really rather pretty when it comes alongside. Right now it's coming alongside the 59 car, which has caused havoc in qualifying. Dropped oil on the track, caused damage after it picked up that oil, one of the Pescarollas, the 16 car, and also lost a wheel. Thankfully he's sort of settled down, looking a bit more sensible.
A lot of new technology on this car. They've got this sort of conventional X-Track gearbox, but one thing that they're using, Zytek is trying out their new electronic gear shift on this car, and they've been doing a lot of work with Dome. So have a lot of companies all over Japan. This has become very much a national pride thing, and as we've said earlier, having these Toyota factory drivers on board from Super GT, they are trying to attract the attention of the big manufacturer.
So what we're seeing is a lot of new things, not just a new car, but many new parts of the car that have never been used before. So a lot of times you'll see a new car, but it's got a tried and tested gearbox and many different things.
In comes the Golf 009, a reasonably long stint. Just further ahead as well, the official Corvette crew are doing it properly and giving a lesson to the Luc Alphon boys. They've come in with a 64 car, just the one, and they'll be clear in a moment. Meanwhile, back here, tell us, do you think that blue's too pale, or do you think it's correct for the Golf colours? We think it looks gorgeous ourselves, that's not the issue. It's just whether it's true to the old colours. We'll wait and see. So in just about a minute's time, we're going to be just switching over for a bit of cycling news, I understand, and then we will be back live straight away with more. That's the Flying Lizards, and boy oh boy, they had a hiccup in second qualifying. Mark's just pointing the timing screens and giving it a thumbs up. I think he quite fancies one of these machines. They have done so well, Mark, they've bounced back big time.
Yeah, this is a fight now between Jörg Bergmeister and Jaime Mello. Mello's on board the Risi competition car. Now that has come up from nowhere. While we've been talking about the big cars, look at that. Risi competition have come up into second from 5th place.
And this is
GT2.
not the first time we've seen those two drivers have a battle at the front of a grid before.
No.
Many people remember from Sebring a couple of years ago, so this could be exciting.
Right, we've got a bit of cycling for you, and then we'll be straight back with more live from Le Mans.